Awesome, dude. Welcome back again. Alright? So now that you've got your pen and paper out and ready to go, what I want you to do before we jump in again is this. I want you to segment off your piece of paper just like how this one is right here, okay? I want you to segment it off. Alright? I want you to divide it right down. So if it's vertical, is that vertical? Yeah, if it's vertical, standing up, kind of like the opposite of this, since this is horizontal. If it's vertical, right down the middle, right genius on the left side. Okay? This is a really good way for you to take notes because now you can, for example, if you're reading your book, and you know when you're reading your book and you get really into it, and you find a passage that resonates with you, that's something that you want to save for later, like a really good note, when you read it again, you highlight it. Right? You highlight it or you underline it for some reason, or you want to look up something. Right? You highlight it, you underline it, you do whatever you do, and then when you put it in your notes, or if you're in your book as well, you write next to it this thing called an action plan. I didn't put plan next to it, but action, right? And the reason why you can do that now is because in that moment, you had this spark. You had this spark of, I almost said divinity, this spark of imagination. Something awoke in your mind, right? Something awoke in your mind and it inspired you. It's like, oh, hey, I love that line. Because I do that a lot, all right? So after that point, you write action, and then you write a specific action that can correlate with you in your life based on that. Really cool. My mentor showed me that earlier this year, and I loved the fuck out of that thing. I use the hell out of it, and I take a lot of action based on those notes right away. And then basically, once you finish doing that action, once you've highlighted it and then wrote the action you're going to take, after you've taken the action, you check it off to clarify and verify to yourself that you've done it. And from that, you get this boost of dopamine, you feel great, fulfillment, more successful, all that stuff. Okay? It's just a little thing. Alright? So like as I said, do that. Segment it off, left side genius, right side action. Pause the video, do that again. Okay? Welcome back. I'm assuming you did that. So as I've said again, my clients told me that I need something that we can focus on. Something I can really just sink my teeth into one at a time from that survive or die report. And I was like, dude, that is a very great synopsis, a very great response, because I wasn't aware that it was so much information. I mean, to me, this is normal. That is natural to me. That is how my mind works. I operate in this world like that. But I'm not aware sometimes that I can over-deliver, like constantly over-deliver on my information. So what I did from that was this, from that Survive or Die free bonus report. I picked out the 3 strongest hard-hitting points that I felt will make a visceral impact upon you in your life. And from that, we're going to, as I've said in the notes, taking notes, we're going to create an action plan based for you off of those. All right, well, basically off this one. These are just more like synopsises, reminding you who you are, what you're capable of as a human being, and what you really can do in your life to make a change when you want change. All right? These, though, are for you. These 3 are the 3 instantly applicable game changers for rapid-fire growth for yourself, for your life, and everything. I want to help you with that, and we're going to do this right now. All right? So the first thing we're going to talk about is this, the hard-hitting point number 1. Who you are now and who you seek to become later are the same fucking people. Alright? There are very few distinguishing differences between you and the person you want to become later in the future. Alright? Think about that. We're going to go over that in this part of your training in just a moment. So just keep that in your mind. Hard-hitting point number 2. By the way, I expect you to be writing these down. Pausing the video, taking notes, writing them down. Draw the happy face if you want. I'm not going to tell you to, but you can. I'll expect you to write these down, and then from this, we're going to be pulling notes for you, specifically for you, and help you create a plan in your own life to take action, to become clear on why shit just may not be going the way you want it. And then from that understanding of that situation in your life, you can understand where you need to take action in what specific areas. Does that make sense? Can you dig that? Can you feel me? Good. Alright? So, hard-hitting point number 2. Ingrained within you, the organism, this being, this physical manifestation, alright, possesses both a repulsive force away from pain. That means when you feel this pain, or you're pushed towards pain, or you have to face pain in your life for change, after that, you're thrust away from that, you're wanting to be away from that pain, is also known as a dynamic thrust towards pleasure. It is your reason for why you feel pleasure. These two are, how did I phrase it in the book? These two are the key critical divides that stem off of this last thing right here, your hard-hitting point number 3. Also known as, what I'm labeling it as, for now, your number 1 superhuman success instinct. And that is survive. Right? Survive. So at the base level of everything, what is the reason that you need to change? What causes you to change? Why do you have to change? Why do you always constantly seek to grow? Can you think about it? Can you think of a reason? I'm not going to say this is, I'm not going to say it isn't. I'm not like some fucking giant expert that is renowned. I mean, I am renowned for a lot of things, but I'm not some giant expert who's known by the entire globe for knowing these things. So I don't want you to put me on that high porcelain pedestal that doesn't actually exist, right? I just want you to realize this. The very small and basic and strong, sturdy foundation that was inborn within you, that is genetically placed within you, that you probably weren't aware of until now. You didn't really think about it. Was this. You dig away everything. Push all these emotions, these feelings, and all these rationalizations of living. And you get this. Survive. Survival. Evolution placed within you this growth mechanism called survive. I'm going to quote something from that same Survive or Die PDF. And it is this. It is not a new fact that man is surviving. It is, however, a new fact that man is motivated only by survival. Think about that. Give it a moment, think about that. If you have to, pause the video. Right. And from that very base cause of survival stems these two divides that allow us to sense and feel this world in a much different way. When we sense our change, our evolution, our form of survival from these two different divides, they are called, and also known as, pain and pleasure. Pain is no more relative than pleasure is in your life. Whenever think about this, okay? What really causes change? What really urges you to change in your life? From you being right here to getting over here where you want to be in your life. What really urges you to change in your life? I mean, to some extent. Not actually to some extent, to a giant extent. Because if you want to be here to here, that's a big-ass leap. All this in the middle is change. But it's not anything if there's no reason for it to survive, for you to survive. If you can survive in this area and thrive in point A, happily and merrily, so grandiosely, without any form of threat to survival to become this, you won't grow necessarily. So unless you, I hope you're picking this up, so unless you put some form of stress, some form of suppressor upon your survival, this pain, it's almost self-inflicted, but it's a very good form of pain upon your life, this pressure to create this change, this incremental change to get to from point A to point B, that you will not change that much. Does that make sense? Right? I don't want to harp on it too much, but I'm going to go into this last part of that. And how else do we perceive it besides pain and pleasure? Alright, so you probably perceive it from physical pain in your life. You're too fat, maybe. Your hormones are all fucked up because you're too fat. I'm not calling you fat. Maybe I am, maybe I'm not. Who knows? It doesn't matter anyway. Because your weight shouldn't determine who you are. Who you are is who you want to be. Right? Remember that. Maybe your mind's a little fucked up. You don't read. People call you stupid. That's changeable too. You're too fat. Mind doesn't work. Too stupid. I'm not calling you this stuff. I'm just saying these as examples. Maybe it's an emotional pain. You just broke up with your woman. Maybe it's your family left you. Maybe your house just broke down. Maybe it's all this stuff, alright? But either one of those, you got to consider it as this thing, this pain that's urging you. And you know this. The only way you're going to become aware of this, because I'm a self-awareness and elite motivation coach, awareness. I want you to become aware of this. This thing is urging you for a change. Survival, basically, by itself is change. Evolution is change. I'm not going to go into that, because that's a giant side topic. But nonetheless, pain and pleasure. And you experience those pains, these urges, through these other little, I like to call them bilateral valves in your life. And we can name 4 right now. Sight, sound, touch, hearing. There's also weight, temperature, emotion. I forgot what this other one was. Like one more. But nonetheless, you can find that example in the Survivor Die Free bonus report. Just go back in and jump in there and look for it. Really dig for it. Alright, so that was hard-hitting point number 1, 2, and 3. Let's go over them one more time. Hard-hitting point number 1. Who you are now and who you seek to become later are the same fucking person. Alright? Real cool. This is the critical key component that we're going to be talking about on this. Alright? These two are your reminders of what the fuck you are capable of. Alright? So hard-hitting point number 2. Ingrained within you, the organism, this physical manifestation, this being, this creature that wants more. You know you want more. You know it's urging you. You know you want to go forward. But what's stopping you? What is stopping you? Well, that's for you to figure out. No offense. I'm not trying to be thick there. Yeah. Ingrained within the organism possesses a repulsive force away from pain and a dynamic thrust towards pleasure. Or, how do they call it? A goal-seeking mechanism. An automatic goal-seeking mechanism. If you've ever read the psychology book called, it's by Dr. Maxwell Maltz. I haven't read it in a while. But nonetheless, it's a really good book. They have this thing called an automatic goal-seeking mechanism. To me, that just sounds like a reference to this. Like, we've already known this. We're still figuring this stuff out. Like, half of that science is still trying to catch up. But nonetheless, I don't think this is better than that. I like to think of them as one. Both of them complement each other. Okay? Hard-hitting point number 3. Survive. Your basis form of survival. And go back to that point in this video right now and watch that point, what I just said. Survive, pain, and pleasure. The thing that thrusts you, that motivates you to survive, right? It's pain and pleasure. And you face it and you meet it through these I think it's 8 specific, different, diverse valves in your life, your senses, that's what I call them. Sight, sound, touch, smell, emotion, weight, temperature, and there's something else that goes there. I don't remember that last one. Emotion. I think it's emotion, if I didn't say that already. Yes. Alright, so that's that part. That's the genius portion of it. So make sure you got each one of these 3 written down. Make sure you've taken note on what I've said and get ready, because this part is the go-getter time. This is where we're going to take real fucking action for your life, for you to make a small plan, a game-changing plan for your life, to get you out of whatever rut you're stuck in. All right. And this is called the 3 instantly applicable game changes for rapid fire. You're going to love this one, because I'm loving it. I'm kind of getting excited. I'm not kind of getting excited. I am excited. Shut the fuck up. Alright, so on the right side of your paper, where it says action, create some spaces between these things. Alright? Alright. So do that right now. Come back. Alright, cool. So, the first thing we're going to talk about is this. Game changer number 1. These, by the way, if I haven't said it already, I want to reiterate it so you get the point of what I'm talking about. These 3 are all hitting on for what you can become later. I really want you to understand this concept. Who you are now and who you seek to become later in your life. Whether it's wealthy, become more happy, become more fulfilled, gain this car, that's pretty superficial. Normally if it's rich, or if you want to create a business, if you want to do all this shit. Who you are now and who you seek to become later as a person are the same fucking people. there's no distinguishing physical difference other than getting older, right? Who you are now and who you seek to become later are the same fucking person, right? And how do you do that? How do you make these distinguishments between the two? Like, the reason why I reiterate this is because some people don't understand that. It really is that simple. It blew my mind how simple it was. And these are the 3 big game changers that are going to help you understand that. Alright, so what I want you to do right now, on that right side, for game changer number 1, write this out under it. It says your standards and knowing thyself. Right? And what I want you to understand before we jump into that is that since you are the same person, who you are now to who you want to be later, point A and point B, the only difference you should be doing is focusing on the perspective changes of that person. Same people, of yourself. How would you be looking at the world? Excuse me, I burped. My bad. Again, excuse me again. How would you be looking at the world if you were already that person? Perceive yourself as that person who has already achieved that. So if your goal is to own a business, create an online business, to create this online business that does really well, coaching people just like I do, but you don't know how to do that. You don't even know how to think. You don't even know where to start. So what I would do, instead of focusing on the problems I can't control, I would focus on the first thing I can control. How would that version of me be thinking? How would I be solving problems? How would I be looking at the world? So where I would start is, what do I first need to learn? What skills do I have to gain for myself? I open my mind a bit. I think of these things that he, point B of me, that version of me would have to think of. Perceive yourself as if you were playing a role. By the way, just since I said that, I triggered the name of that book. That book I was talking about, the automatic goal-seeking mechanism for that, it's called Psycho-Cybernetics. If you're interested in a really good psychology book that's going to talk about beliefs, the power of beliefs, and all about all this stuff, look that book up. It's called Psycho-Cybernetics by Maxwell Maltz. Really good book. It's actually going to go more into this, right? So perceive yourself as that person. Perceive yourself as the person who has already been there. How would he be thinking? Really sit the fuck down and perceive yourself as this person and say, where would he start first? What would he do? How would he be thinking? How would he be perceiving the world? And this is where I want you to start for your own life right now. This is game changer number 1. To get yourself started on that journey, on that route, on that adventure. Because it is an adventure. I consider life an adventure. It's rough, it's tough, it gives you some pain, but dude, what the fuck did we just say? Through that pain comes a thrust towards pleasure, right? It's a flowing, little effervescent, beautiful cycle. You just gotta keep going and keep that right attitude. I think it was Winston Churchill that said, if you're going through hell, keep going. If you're going through hell, then keep going. Because there's something better on the other side, and yes there is. And you better keep fucking going, right? So the first thing I want you to focus on, to get to know that better self, that version of you in the future is this. Your standards. Alright, think about this. Stop the video right now, after you've heard what I said. Stop the video and think about this. What are the kind of standards this person, you, later in the future, what kind of standards would he have? What is he willing to accept? What is he not willing to accept? Alright? Who is he? Is he going to let anybody in his life? Is he going to, well, that sounded really mean. Is he going to let everybody that sap his energy into his life? Doubt it. Is he going to let people, or is he going to only let, I don't want to fall and knock this over, sorry. Or is he only going to let the best kind of people in his life? Think about that. Alright, your standards. What are you going to stand for? How are you going to do things in life? How are you going to perceive the world? What kind of mindset is he going to have? Those are the standards. These are deep and strong, real standards. Alright? So pause this video right now. Stop and think about what I just said. Right under that category, write those answers out. How is that version of me in the future, even write this question down, how is the version of me in the future going to be perceiving his standards? What are his standards? What are his actions? What is he not going to stand for? Write that down. and then answer it. Take as long as you need to take. Pause the video, do that right now. See you there. Alright? See what else. Okay. Cool. So now that you're back, I want you to also think that. You've gotten down his mindset. What is he willing to accept? What is he not willing to accept? What is he gonna what kind of people is he gonna have in his life? Are you gonna allow these negative people, are you gonna allow these great people? Right? How is that version of you going to be acting in the future? Right? Get those answers out, you've done that. Now part 2 of that as well, I want you to realize this. This is more important. Because you have more of your understanding of why, the knowledge of why. Part 2 of that is the action. What actions, it's kind of funny, write this question down. What actions is that better version of me in the future going to be taking that get him those results? That guarantee him those results? What actions did he take that allowed him to get there? Write them in a plan, in an incremental manner, okay? I don't care how long you got to take. Do that. Write that question down. What actions is that better version of myself taking that's getting him those results right away, as soon as possible? Right? Write that down. Answer them. Take as long as you need. Write as long as you want. These answers, again, I want you to know that these are for you. They're not for me. They're for you and you alone. So answer them. Be as brutally honest as you have to be with yourself. No one else is going to see this but you. So do that. Write it down. Stop the video. Do that. Cool. Welcome back. Alright. So what I want you to become aware of